Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back. Today's video is going to be all about cream products for the face mostly, but I will touch a little bit on cream eyeshadows as well. And this video has come so highly requested from you guys, not only just to share my favorite cream products and which ones work the best, but also how to apply them. I get tons of questions about this all the time, like what brushes to use, whether it's better to use a brush or a sponge or your fingers, how do I stop the foundation from moving underneath and stuff like that. So as I go and talk about each category, I'll also touch on some tips that I've learned. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I really enjoy cream products. I actually have ever since I was a teenager. When I first started wearing makeup, one of the first makeup items I ever purchased was the Bonnie Bell Gel Blush from the 90s. I don't know if you guys remember, it came in a little tube and it was one of those stains that was like really difficult to remove. It stayed on all day and it was really easy to mess up and get crazy clown cheeks if you weren't careful with that stuff. So I definitely have a lot of practice with cream products over the years, and you know, things have gotten a lot better since then. There are actually still products like that on the market, but my personal preference when it comes to cream formulas is something that is not overly dewy or emollient, because I find that those are the ones that are going to break up the foundation underneath or move things around or slide around, and they're not quite as long lasting as ones that have a little bit more of a moussey consistency or ones that do end up drying down all the way. So that's usually something that I look for when I'm testing out products. So quickly, before we dive into the face, let's go ahead and just touch on eyeshadows, because I actually already did my eyes. I'm not going to do those on camera today or demonstrate it, because I already did a video about that a couple months ago now using the Huda Beauty double-ended liquid eyeshadows. And the ones that I'm going to be recommending again from the drugstore are stick form versus the liquid ones, but my application method is basically exactly the same as I showed in that Huda Beauty video. So again, I'll link that above and down in the description box. But just quickly, a couple of my favorite affordable cream eyeshadows are the Ulta Beauty ones. These are called the Cream Eyeshadow and Liner, and then also the ones from Beauty Pie, which I mentioned recently in my Beauty Pie video. These actually remind me exactly of the Laura Mercier Caviar sticks. They are amazing. They're so long lasting, and the Ulta Beauty ones are actually fantastic as well. They're super long lasting on the eyes, and I haven't had any issues with creasing. Now please keep in mind I do have really dry skin, so normally things do not crease on me. If you have oily eyelids, there might be some creasing going on, so I can't guarantee that these are not going to crease on you, but they are the longest lasting eyeshadow sticks that I've personally tried. And I have, even though I do have dry eyelids, I have had some formulas in the past that did crease. So these actually are, I find, to be the longest lasting ones, and they're really affordable as well. So for today's look, I'm actually using two of the Beauty Pie ones. I'm using Pink Velvet, which is a matte shade that I put in my crease, and then Wild Violet, which is more of a shimmer shade that I put on my lid. Now when it comes to cream eyeshadows, you're not going to get the type of look that you would get with a powder eyeshadow, so keep that in mind. This is going to be something that is way more simplified. It's not going to be, you know, overly complicated using multiple shades. I find that cream shadows work best if you're using just one or two colors and not getting, you know, too crazy. Otherwise, everything's just going to run together and get kind of muddy, because they don't really work the same way as a powder would. So if you like those more complicated eye looks using multiple different colors, cream eyeshadows might not be something that you're super into. But if you really like the quick, like one and done or two and done type of looks that are just super quick and easy and casual, I think you will really like these. So what I used to do with cream eyeshadow sticks was just apply them directly to my eyelid and then smudge them with my fingers. And now you can do that. It's going to create a little bit more of a messy, less precise look, but if you really like precision when it comes to your eyeshadow, what I recommend doing is taking the eyeshadow stick and just running it along the back of your hand like this. And then what I do is I go in with a little crease brush like this one. This is the Profusion Small Firm Eyeshadow Brush. So also to begin with, you want something that's a little bit more densely packed like this one that isn't going to be a big fluffy blending brush. So this one works perfectly. And what I do is I just dip it into the cream eyeshadow and then I just apply it to my crease the way that I would any powder eyeshadow. And once I blend that out a little bit, then I go ahead and take my fluffy brush. So this one is again from Profusion, and this one's called the Pointed Crease Eyeshadow Brush. And then I just diffuse the edges a little bit before everything dries down. You have to work a little bit quicker when it comes to cream eyeshadows just to make sure that it doesn't set in place. But with these, you do have quite a bit of time. I would say at least like a minute to kind of blend everything together. So that's how I apply the crease shade. And then with the lid color, I find that with this, you can just kind of draw this on your lid and either pat it on with your fingers, or you can go ahead and use this pointed brush again and just kind of work it back into your lid. But usually when you use a brush with a shimmery cream eyeshadow, you're not going to get the same color payoff. Again, it's kind of similar to powder eyeshadows in that way, where if you use a brush, it's going to sheer it out a little bit more, and if you pack it on with your finger, you'll get more color payoffs. So the process is actually very, very similar to applying powder eyeshadow. It's just that instead of dipping into a palette, you're using your hand as a palette and drawing it on first and then dipping in that way. But otherwise, it's basically the exact same process. Like I said, I just wouldn't go too crazy with too many colors because I just feel like you're not going to see them and everything is going to sort of blend out together. But I love how it just results in a super easy, soft, natural look that's great for every day. You could even just use one color and just pop it right on your lid, either a matte or a shimmer shade, and just blend it up into your crease a little bit, and then you're done. I do that all the time when I'm just kind of hanging around the house, or if I'm just going to be out running errands and I don't want to do anything too crazy. I love cream eyeshadows for that. And also, I just want to quickly mention two more affordable drugstore options when it comes to cream eyeshadows: the Maybelline Color Tattoos and the ColourPop Super Shocks. So you would use these in basically the same way, except you don't have to use your hand as a palette. You can just go ahead and dip your brush right into these and then apply them like you would a powder eyeshadow. I think ColourPop has some absolutely stunning shades in their collection, and they're really easy to apply and blend out. The Maybelline Color Tattoos are just a classic. These are a little bit more of a stiffer formula than the ColourPop. I think these are a little softer and more moussey, but these I think last a lot longer on the eyes. These are like almost bulletproof once they set down. The only negative is that these don't come in quite as many colors as the ColourPop do, but these are super easy to find. You can find them at any drugstore, and the formula is really, really good as well. So next up, let's talk bronzers. I haven't put on any face products yet as far as bronzer, highlighter, or blush, because I decided I was just going to demo those for you guys so you could see how they work out. So I would say my favorite affordable cream bronzer is this one from Physicians Formula. This is the Sculpting Bronzer, and it's in the shade Toffee. That's the lightest shade. They do have a darker one as well, and I find that it's really super similar both in color and texture to the Milk Makeup one. So if you've had your eye on this, I would say try this one out first and see how you like it. But I mean, I haven't noticed any difference between the two. So when it comes to bronzer, I've seen a lot of people on YouTube just kind of put it right on your cheeks, and you can definitely do that. But for me, again, I like a less is more approach, because once you put a cream on your face, it's not like a powder where you can diffuse it. It doesn't diffuse as easily as powder, let's put it that way. So you're kind of stuck with the amount that you put on, and if you're applying it directly to your face, it's very easy to go overboard. So what I like to do when it comes to bronzer is to just take a brush. This is the BH Cosmetics. It's from their Marble brush collection, and it's the number 4 brush, and it's a little bit more on the fluffy side. It's kind of like medium. It's not super fluffy, and it's also not super dense either. And this one, I like to just kind of go like this with the bronzer, just put it directly on the brush this way. And then once I have a little bit on the brush, then I can go in and just apply it to my cheeks this way. Exactly, again, like you would a regular powder bronzer. And again, a lot of people usually take a bronzer and just use it like to contour with, but I typically like to do the number 3 when it comes to the bronzer, where you do like a number 3 on your face. So you start with your forehead, go to your cheek, and then go down to your jawline like that. And my feeling is you can always go in and add more. If you don't feel like it's enough, just keep going with it. But it's so much harder to take the color away when it comes to a cream. You could also take a little bit and just go down the bridge of your nose like this, any place that the sun would normally hit your face. And the goal is not to look, you know, overly sculpted or chiseled or anything like when you're contouring. With bronzer, for me, it's just to like warm up your face just the littlest bit and just bring some life back into it without looking really obvious. And I don't even know if you can really see it on camera that much. I feel like it's looking at the screen, it almost looks like I'm wearing nothing at all, but in real life you can definitely see it. I feel like it just adds that slightly sun-kissed glow. Alright, so next up, when it comes to blushes, I have basically 3 different options to share. I have a stick formula, one that's in a pot like this, and then a liquid formula. So when it comes to the sticks, I love these ColourPop blush sticks. I think they're fantastic. They remind me a lot of the Clinique Chubby Sticks. They're very similar in texture and the way that they apply, but at a much more affordable price. So I would definitely try out the ColourPop ones if you're interested. And again, with a stick blush, you can always go ahead. This is the color, by the way, this is called Cool It. And with a stick blush, again, you can just draw it on like this, but it sort of increases the chances that you're gonna move the foundation underneath because you're dragging it. So what I would do again with this is to just take a brush, this is the same one, and just brush a little bit on like this, and then go ahead and just dab it onto your cheeks really lightly. Again, don't rub it or brush it too hard, but just kind of dab the product like that. And I find that that works really, really well. You can also take some on a beauty sponge, a damp beauty sponge, and just rub it on the sponge like this. That works well too. And just dab it on your cheek like so. And I just find that it gives a really beautiful diffused color. Just a little hint. You can always, again, go in and add more if you want to, but I feel like either method works really well when it comes to blushes that are in a stick. And when it comes to the ones in the pots, it's basically the same deal. You can use the brush. You can also use a sponge if you want to. I prefer the brush again. So this is ColourPop's Between the Sheets. It's one of my absolute favorite shades. And you can just dab this right into the pot again like you would a regular powder blush. And then again, just dab it right onto your cheeks. And I find that these have a little bit more color payoff to them than the sticks do. The sticks are a little bit more on the sheer side. So with these, you do have to be a little bit careful not to go overboard if you don't want a lot of color on your cheeks. But I just love these because they have such a nice moussey, like whip texture. And they just sort of become one with your skin. They're just so seamless and they last all throughout the day. So I really love these. Sometimes I even layer these under a powder blush just to give it more staying power. And that works out really well too. It just looks like you're truly blushing from within rather than something sitting on top in a layer. So that's pretty much how I apply the cream blushes, mainly with a brush. And then when it comes to the liquids, I really love the Milani Cheek Kiss liquid blush. This one's in the shade Nude Flush, and it's actually a very, very close dupe for the Glossier Cloud Paint in Dusk, this particular color, but even the formula is really similar to Glossier. I showed these back in a dupes video that I did a while ago, which I'll link above. Actually, a lot of these are part of that video, so if you want to see swatches and comparisons, definitely check that video out. But like I said in the beginning of the video, there's a little bit more of a learning curve with these. I feel like the cream ones are a little easier to use if you're more of a first-time cream blush person, but with these you can go ahead and just put some on your finger and dab it on your cheeks that way. I've seen plenty of people do that. I've done it before and it works out fine, but I think if you want to be a little bit more careful, you can again go in and use your hand as a palette. And with the liquids versus the creams, I much prefer applying these with a stippling brush. I find that you get a little bit more sheer coverage and it's easier to build up. If you try to go in with a denser brush like this, they kind of sometimes can become too much. So let me just try the stippling brush first. This one's from IT Cosmetics, and I'll just show you what that looks like really quick. So again, the trick to not moving the foundation underneath is to just tap it like this. And I think this gives a really nice seamless result, and you can always go back and add more if you need to. And again, that just gives a really beautiful natural result. But if I want to build it up, I'm going to use the sponge now just to kind of show you how I would do that. You can just dip it again into your hand and then just apply it directly to your cheek like this. And you can also use the sponge after using a brush to just blend everything out and just make it look really extra seamless. So let me just go ahead and apply a little bit more to this cheek. I think also with the sponge, you're going to shear it out a little bit just because the sponge is damp. So if you want more color payoff, I would use this versus using the sponge. And I also want to quickly mention two liquid blushes that did not work well for me, and that's the Maybelline Cheek Heat and also the Physicians Formula Organic Wear Dewy Blush Elixir. Both of these had a really, really greasy sort of a texture that moved all the foundation underneath. It kind of just took it off no matter what method I used. And they also remained kind of sticky feeling and tacky throughout the day. So if you don't like that kind of a vibe, I would definitely skip these. Or if you're someone who doesn't wear foundation, then you don't have to worry about it too much, but I just wanted to mention that because I know these are really popular. They're new products that just came out recently, so if that's something that you're looking to avoid, I would definitely go ahead and skip these. Alright, and then last but not least, when it comes to highlighter, I do have a couple of different options to share that I really like. The first one is the Physicians Formula Dewy Highlighter, and this one is such a beautiful natural highlight. These days, that's normally what I prefer, rather than something that's super glittery or sparkly. But if you like a little bit more intensity, the ColourPop light sticks are beautiful. I find that they are also very seamless when it comes to blending. They're not overly glittery, but they do have quite a bit more sheen to them than this one does. This one looks really, really natural on your face, so it's just a matter of personal preference. Also, the Physicians Formula Butter Highlights, those are super intense cream highlighters as well, which I'm not, again, a fan of, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to apply the stick ones first. Again, you can go ahead and just draw them right on if you'd like to. I normally with these like to go and just draw them right on my hand like this, and then I take my damp beauty sponge and just apply them that way because I like way more of a sheer highlight. So when I just go in and apply, you can see that it's just like a barely there kind of a glow. It just makes it look like my skin is lit from within. You can also just apply it right to the sponge like this if you don't want to use your hand. It actually probably wastes less product that way. And then again, just dab it right on there. So again, I don't know if it's really showing up on camera because I tend to have a pretty light hand when it comes to highlights, but if you like more color payoff, you can always just use your fingers as well, and that goes for any of the products that I showed today too. With the blushes, same thing. If you want to use your finger, I think that it'll give you a lot more of the color versus shearing it out. So like watch, if I just tap my fingers on like that, I think it makes it a lot more intense. Again, I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but it's way, way more intense looking in person just doing it that way. Again, if you're gonna use your fingers though, I wouldn't use a swiping motion because you're gonna drag the foundation with it. I would just pat it into your skin until it blends. So just like a quick patting motion like that. And same thing with the blushes as well, which I forgot to show you. If you just kind of pat it in like this, it'll definitely deepen up the color quite a bit. But you just have to work quickly and try your best not to rub because that's going to take that foundation off. Another great highlighter option is a liquid version like this. Sometimes you can get them in more of like a dropper form as well. So I know a couple of you mentioned that you had some of the dropper ones that you weren't quite sure how to apply them. So the same rules would apply as using something like this. So I feel like this is a really close dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. It's very close. I think the Hollywood Flawless Filter is maybe just a little bit glowier than this one, but you can always build this one up again to your desired result. So this one's the shade Fair Glow, and just like with the liquid blushes, I like to just put it right on the back of my hand and then dip in the beauty sponge. And you can do the exact same thing with the ones that come in a dropper as well. And then just apply it anywhere you'd like a highlight. I think this one is even more natural looking than the Physicians Formula that I put on the other side. There's just something about this where it has a little bit less sparkle and it's so seamless going into your skin. It's just absolutely beautiful. It just looks like your skin is super dewy and glowy and hydrated. So hopefully that's showing up on camera so that you guys can see what the effect is. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And also, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. What are your favorite tips and tricks for applying cream products? And also, what are some of your favorites? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button right here in the corner of your screen. And I'll see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.